What's up, everybody? Happy Friday. Hope everyone's having a good day. Not too much to cover in the markets today, but it's crypto, so there's always some interesting stuff. Before we dive in, don't forget to like the subscribe button in the bottom right corner of the screen as usual, and follow me on Twitter at BenCryptoShow. I tweet about 4 or 5 times a day, some of the stuff that's in the videos, some of the stuff that's not in the videos, a mix of funny crypto stuff and charts, on-chain metrics. Also, some of the tweets I get that have the highest rate of tweet activity, I've noticed it's the charts, where I like to think I explain it, sort of what's going on in kind of layman's terms. So if you're tired of, going to other influencers' pages and whereas they have good charts that are relevant, but then they just put up a one-sentence vague description about what's going on, you're not sure if it's bearish or bullish or what it means, then you can check me out. I, again, like to think that I explain the charts in just quick, easy to understand layman terms, we call it. Twitter poll of the day here. Crypto diva Christina Keller, she changed her morning tweet. For months and months and months, she used to have a good morning billionaire right here. And then just yesterday, she changed it to good morning billionaire holding strongly. It's huge. It's huge right there. Tweet. Poll of the day. Will Crypto Diva's changing her morning tweet from Good Morning Billionaire to Good Morning Billionaire holding strongly spark the next great bull run in crypto? Yes, no, small pump only, or not sure? So far, with a few votes, it is even between yes and small pump only. We'll see how that goes. More bullish news here. Maren Altman, she is predicting bullish weekend. We got the Sun-Neptune square planetary formation. We've got the sextile Jupiter and Mars planetary formation. Could be majorly bullish there, majorly bullish. We've got some good indicators here. Markets, so again, flat on the day. They usually are on Friday and over the weekend. They weren't last weekend, of course, or they dipped Friday, but today they are again. BTC green fear at 9, so up from 7 yesterday, so that's good. I think it was 2 straight days at 7, Wednesday and Thursday. Now it's up to 9, so sentiment is slowly getting a little more positive. I tweeted this here, this chart, so this just kind of clearly explains just very easily how things cascaded so quickly last week from a charting perspective. So the blue line here, this is what you want to pay attention to. This is the BTC price, but you pay attention to the blue line. This is the amount of leveraged long positions on Bitfinex. So a leveraged long position, that's not just buying the coin, it's opening up a futures contract you're long with leverage, basically, so you have even more conviction on your trade. So as you can see, it continues to spike. It's spiked a ton over the last month, and then that's where the crash is here when a lot of people liquidated. So this huge, there was a lot of just really bullish people in the last month. They thought the market was going to go up. So they initiated a ton of leverage long, overly confident contracts, which showed that sentiment was bullish, but that doesn't always correlate to prices. So the moment we had the downturn last week and starting on Friday, right here, a bunch of these contracts were liquidated. That cascaded the prices much lower. So then the new open long contracts last week obviously kind of flattened out here. That makes sense, but then it's a little worrisome again. Then they've spiked again in the last 3-4 days, it looks like. So people just continue, the leverage traders, the high risky ones, they just continue to buy and initiate highly leveraged long contracts, which is fine if the market's going up. The problem is the moment it goes down a little, it just immediately causes a cascading of machine-like sells, and then prices just immediately fall. So when you see prices like go down from 27.5 to 23,000 in a couple hours last week, and that's exactly what was going on. So, at least sentiment's bullish. That's good news. This is a very important chart here. I will keep trending this in both the videos and on the Twitter, because this just doesn't predict the market direction, but it does predict when prices will fall very fast given a slight market downturn. So what are some, given this is the charting here, so what are the overall sort of macro factors that are going to affect prices going forward? Obviously, the interest rate hike, it's a once a month thing, and it has raised prices, it has lower prices pretty much every single month. Last month, it didn't cause that much of a drop. It still did, the expectation announcements. This month, again, this is what started the huge drop. So on the day where the Fed actually announces their interest rate hike, or what the numbers are, that doesn't really seem to have a negative effect. That typically has a positive effect because Even though the media will make, oh, it's the highest interest rate hike ever, we already knew what the expectation of the number was going to be from 3, 4, 5 days earlier. So once the announcement comes out and the number is what the predictions were, that's like a sigh of relief. The announcement is over for 4 weeks, and then the market goes up. But when the announcement of the predictions come out 3, 4, 5 days before each announcement, that's what makes the market go down. So we have our next expectation announcement, the prediction announcements. Those should start to come in about exactly 3 weeks, 3 weeks from today, tomorrow. So that'll be something to watch for. And then this is good too. No major upcoming conferences. That's good. Conference season has come to an end. I don't know why it is, but big conferences, especially big conferences in the U.S., just have a tendency to kind of tank the markets. It's not a good thing, but they do. Consensus tanked the markets. Bitcoin Miami this year, the market dropped afterwards. Bitcoin Miami last year, that was basically right at the peak of the market. That sort of tanked the market afterwards. Even North American Bitcoin Conference in January, a medium-sized conference in Miami, that even had a negative effect on prices. So whereas the conferences elsewhere don't seem to have a negative effect, Dubai Blockchain Week in late March, that actually caused price to rise, so that was good. Paris Blockchain Week didn't really have a positive or negative effect. The ones in the U.S. just seem to cause prices to go lower. But the good news is conference season is done, and there's no major U.S. upcoming conferences that could potentially trigger sells. So that's good. So there isn't really a big macro event that I know of in the next 3 weeks that could trigger that instant first sell, which then could trigger the leveraged long positions to be immediately liquidated. I might be missing some macro event that's coming up, or some macro event might surprise us. We'll see. But the two big ones here, they're not for another 3 weeks. That's good news. Let's look at some more on-chain metrics here. So a lot to unpack here. This is probably gibberish to the normal person. I'll explain it to the best of the relevant ones here. So funding rate is going down. That means more leverage short positions are being initiated than leverage long positions, or basically just means the shorts are entering the positions a little quicker with a little more demand, so they're paying more of a premium to enter than the leverage long positions. Open interest is down, which is not surprising. That basically means there just aren't as many open futures contracts on the market today as there were last week or in the last couple of days, because a bunch of people got liquidated. Derivative exchanges flow mean. That means that a lot of money is flowing from regular spot exchanges into futures exchanges. So that means that correlates to an increase in leveraged positions like this chart showed here. So that's a little worrisome, but if the market goes up, it doesn't really affect it. And then the leverage ratio is going down. That just means there's more shorts than longs. Basically what that means is that amongst the leverage trades out there, the traders already in the leverage trades, they are decreasing their positions. So they're reducing risk slightly. So that's good. So it seems there's more short positions entering the market, even though this is showing that leverage longs are entering the market. There is less leverage positions than last week, but that's mostly just due to a lot of people being stopped out, and it does seem that a lot of new leverage positions are being initiated. Derivative exchanges going from spot to futures contracts, futures exchanges, that's increasing. So these metrics are kind of a mixed bag, sort of neutral. A few things to watch for. And here, there's always going to be some on-chain metrics that are bearish, that are bullish. Wilcomette put this up here. Bitcoin sits below its 4-year trend for just the third time ever. Previous 2 times, bottom of the 2015 bear market and the March 2020 COVID crash. That was the bottom of the prices there. So again, there's always going to be bullish charts, on-chain metrics like this here. The just general vibe and energy of the market and the macro factors with the monthly interest rate hikes that would kind of contradict this here. The on-chain metrics don't really take into effect the macro factors. They just sort of look at the charts and the data. So it's bullish, but again, it's not really just taking into account the macro effect. So we'll see on that. Willy Woo, as I said, he predicted the 2018 crash, or he kind of ominously warned of signs of it back then, I remember, because I was following his page then. If we're expecting a normal BTC macro bottom, we haven't seen this happen yet. The typical signs of a bottom are not yet in. There are no guarantees we'll get them because BTC macro markets are structurally very different this time than prior history. So again, that's a reference to what I just said. The interest rate, the monthly interest rate hikes, that just hasn't really existed in any other bear cycle. So this macro market is structurally different. Here's a few metrics here. Again, a mixed bag. According to the 200 per week MA, the bottom was in at 22K, so that's bullish. The cost-based analysis, we're not quite at the bottom, but it's not that much lower, so that's kind of neutral. And then something else he does, the CVDD. That's another metric he invented. It's down there. You can look at it if you want. Plenty of downside room. I think that pegged the bottom at 15,000 approximately, so he's expecting a little more downside predictions, downside movement. This seems to be in line with what most people in the market think, and kind of like what I think too. Moving on, Elon Musk, SpaceX fires at least 5 employees over internal letter criticizing Elon Musk. So this was not Twitter, that was a separate thing. This was SpaceX. So the employees circulated a letter that was critical of the CEO, and it was a distraction or whatever. They put their names in the letter. They were immediately fired. That's good. You got to just get those people out quickly. I'm not really sure what they were thinking. Then there was a separate Twitter internal Slack message board or something like that was circulating after his meeting with his new employees at Twitter, and he hasn't made any call on those yet, but I would have to assume it would make the restructuring sort of within Twitter a little bit easier, and make some of those decisions easier, because those people were, again, putting their names on those messages. That wasn't all negative. There were some positive comments, some negatives, some neutral, but it did circulate back to Elon. So again, that will make anytime there's an acquisition, there's always going to be a little restructuring of departments. Some departments are going to be eliminated completely. Some are going to be shuffled around. Some people are just going to be laid off. So this will certainly make that job a little bit easier. Moving on. Farmer Bro Martin Shrkeli launches Uniswap DEX clone Alum Swap. So I assume you're familiar with this guy. He was in jail, just got out recently. I mean, he gets out of jail like a month ago, and then he churns out this decentralized exchange. It's already out. I mean, God, this guy can churn this stuff out fast. He was in jail for 3-4 years. He's got a beef with the Uniswap founder. It seems to start the way most guy beefs start. One guy wants to be friends with the other guy. So the first guy, I guess Martin Shrkeli was a big fan of Uniswap. He used it in prison. He liked it. He must have reached out to the Uniswap founder to try to be friends with him in an entrepreneurial sense. The Uniswap founder then rebuffed the advances, put up some negative tweets about Martin Shrkeli or whatever. So then Martin Shrkeli decided he didn't like Uniswap founder. Now there's a beef, just standard guy beefs right there. But yeah, it's a decentralized exchange. It's designed to rival Uniswap. Has a coin, a native utility coin, MS, blah, blah, blah. Let's see how that does. But yeah, now you kind of get the feeling with Martin Shrkeli as opposed to as opposed to the Tinder swindler guy. I had a picture of him somewhere. I don't know where that is. Yeah, as opposed to the Tinder swindler guy, who was more of a one-hit wonder. His show came out in February. He tried to make a brief entrance in the crypto world, and he just kind of stopped hearing about him. I just kind of get the feeling Martin Shrkeli is the kind of guy you'll be hearing about regularly every week in crypto-related stuff, whether it's his centralized exchange or just his general Twitter activity or other projects he's into. You think, for better or worse, some people might be, entertained. They might like it, but yeah, I definitely think he will not go the way of the Tinder swindler, and he will be a mainstream weekly presence in the crypto community. What's up, CZ? I put up this tweet yesterday. He's just balling here. He's doing amazing. He announced earlier this week they're hiring 2,000 people, as I covered. He also insinuated that they made the wise business decision to say no to a lot of stadium sponsorship deals. And it sounds like the Staples Center here in Los Angeles, it sounds like they first reached out to Binance for the $700 million deal, which CZ, in a business sense, made the wise decision to turn down, which Crypto.com, then they got the sponsorship deal instead. Here's CZ at a conference. He's just living large and in charge. Put up this tweet yesterday. So Charlie Munger, everyone's familiar with him. He's known for making extreme negative comments about crypto with more vehemence than anyone else. He's also known for inventing a slew of urban dictionary terms that are very trendy on that site. He'd probably be a big hit on Twitter if he was on Twitter. He put out this quote a little while ago. Altcoin Buzz quoted it, and then I quoted it too. Smart men go broke in 3 ways: liquor, ladies, and leverage. Charlie Munger. Just kind of random one off there. It doesn't tie into anything. I just felt like quoting it. It's kind of making a lot of sense, Charlie Munger. A lot of sense. Okay, so Bloomberg Crypto put out this report here. So this is the most important company and guy in crypto that you have never heard of, Jump Crypto. So they are a liquidity provider in Chicago. They're, I believe, the number 1 or 2 biggest liquidity provider for crypto. Them and Alameda Research, I believe, are the top 2. And then in the equities markets, Jump Trading, they are the number 1 liquidity provider for the U.S. equity markets. So they're just flush with huge cash. This is the founder, 26-year-old guy. I always get a little nervous when I hear stuff like that. But yeah, I guess he's born and raised in Chicago, 4 years out of college. He's just worked his way up in Jump Trading, and now he runs the Jump Crypto branch. So who is Jump? So it's like just they morphed out of the Chicago mercantile pits. They are very low key, but then this guy, since crypto, you got to be active and social and on Twitter. This guy's doing more interviews. He's very active on Twitter. He's engaging in social media. He's building communities, etc. So why are they so important? So basically, they're just flush with cash. When there was the wormhole Solana hack, they immediately, literally within days, bailed out the Solana team for $320 million. Huge. They didn't even need to think twice about it. They had the cash right there. So if they had that much cash, you can imagine how successful, how much cash they had previously. And then anytime there's a bailout talk, like with Terra, you've probably heard rumors for one day there was a bailout talk that initially seemed positive, but then never really materialized. So that bailout talk was basically obviously with the big 3, CZ, SBF, FTX, Sam Bankman-Fried, and then Brian Armstrong at Coinbase. And then this team is also in a Jump Crypto because they're flush with just as much cash. So this guy and the Jump Crypto team are basically the most important company you've never heard of. It's presumed that the bailout, I would assume, probably CZ kind of guided the direction of the bailout talk, and then once he was a little negative, then SBF and Brian Armstrong were probably a little negative. This guy probably had the last say, but, they're the new kids on the block. But the fact they're even in those bailout discussions, that's big right there. So it's good Bloomberg did an article here because, you should be hearing more about them. So they were invested heavily in Terra the way a lot of companies were. They didn't say how much they lost, but this is interesting here. So the article says the buzz on social media and in the markets was that Jump Crypto's backing. They were like the biggest initial investor. Like Coinbase Ventures was invested in Terra, but they didn't put in a huge position. Jump Crypto put in a bigger position. So the buzz in social media markets was that Jump Crypto's backing instilled a false sense of confidence in Terra and Do Kwon. So basically what that means is companies, it's long been believed, the companies are just more aggressive because they know a government will likely bail them out if an industry goes under, like during COVID and airlines getting bailed out and industries like that. 2008, automobile industry is getting bailed out. So anytime there's a global macro crisis or like a Terra-like black swan event, if they know they're going to get bailed out, then they're always going to act a little bit more aggressively than usual. And as everyone knows, the main, without getting into the technicals, Terra imploded basically because they just grew too fast, too quick, too overconfident. It's just too fast. It just doesn't work in crypto. So this insinuates that it was Jump Crypto's investment and their large investment and their stamp of approval that caused Terra to just grow a little bit too fast, which caused the implosion. I think that's true. I think it was also just a little bit Do Kwon's personality. But I just thought that was interesting. So I'd assume you'll be hearing, now that this guy's decided to be a little bit more public, which you have to be in crypto, we'll be hearing more about this guy, in the likes of Brian Armstrong, SBF, CZ, etc. That's it for today. No videos Saturday and Sunday as usual. Taking the weekend off. Back with a new video on Monday. Got a bunch of new content coming next week. Very excited. Follow me on Twitter, Ben Crypto Show. Vote in the poll. Everybody have a good weekend. Ben Crypto signing out. Later.